In today's video, I'm going to quickly show you how to go about building out a portfolio to eventually get them goals of earning $4,000 per month. So with this is going to be a long-term strategy, a long-term plan. And again, what I'm going to try and do is try and use as much best practices as I can within crypto and DeFi to make sure our overall bag stays stable. Again, long-term strategy. Just before we dive into it, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Also, what I've done here is I've given a recent breakdown of the entire market in general here. This is from different resources. So I'll go into what everyone's thinking in terms of the Bitcoin market, whether we're up or down, whether it's the case the bull market is over or not, or what to pretty much keep an eye out on. So I have an audio overview done, video done, I've images done this, and general write-up. Again, link is in the description if you're interested in joining the group. So with that, what I've done here is I've opened up two different tools that I have, and hopefully we can bring them up here. So our goal here in this scenario is going to be earning $4,000 per month, and what we want to do with this is pretty much make sure we get to there over a period of time. Now obviously here I have 7 years. Again, this may be for some people a long time in crypto. However, for me personally, I've been in it now for this length of time, and it's realistically, looking back on it, it's not that long. However, things change massively in the space. So our goal is starting balance is $5,000. Obviously here, if you can start with a higher amount, you're going to reach your goals much quicker. For most people probably watching the channel, they don't have $10, $20, $30,000 to be investing into crypto, and ideally here then this is where I want to start with. So as you can see here, I wanted to show you this straight off the bat. It's over the 7 years. You can see there we are, roughly $4,000 per month. And most people will argue straight away, crypto, you're never going to stay in it for 7 years. Cycles will change, everything will change, but the key thing here is once we have a plan, we're flying it. So we jump over here, you can see, let me change this actually to 5,000. You can see if I wanted to reach this right now, with 4,000 a month, you're going to need to get something of 960% APYs of some pools. Again, if you're getting into them pools, you're pretty much going to get wrecked because they are going to be just extremely risky assets, meme kind assets. And again, you're going to have to put a large chunk of money, I suppose, into that, and to potentially earn, and losses there can be crazy. However, it's just showing you potentially what you can actually do and how you can actually go about it. So with that in mind, what we want to do here is we want to look for ways to build out a portfolio. Again, if you're interested in this tool here, I think the link is in the description. You can easily get that for free. And what we want to do here is build out our portfolio. Again, we're using the $5,000 amount, and we want to get, our goal is obviously to get to the monthly income of $4,000. So my approach here will be similar. In most cases, I try to build a conservative portfolio here. So obviously a foundation, which is obviously stablecoins, things like that. We want growth assets, and we want maybe some of the higher yields. But again, if the markets are to kind of peter out and we could potentially be going into like a bear season, I suppose, bear market, again, definitely check out the information there that I talked about. But the key thing here is it probably won't last as long as what we're all used to within the crypto space. So what you want to do here is build your portfolio to match. So the first thing we're going to do is build out the foundational side. As I said, we're going to jump over here to Yield Farm or DeFi Llama, and we're looking at stablecoins. And straight away, I've narrowed this down to a few different positions, and I think one I like already is this one on Curve. This is obviously on Ethereum, and again, we're getting around 71% for a decent TVL in it. We can expect this percentage to drop over time, but obviously getting into it early is key. I do have one up here. This is Peapod's interest-bearing USDC. So again, definitely worth to check out, but it seems a very high APY, obviously, straight off the bat. But you can see there's another ones here from Pendle. Again, I always recommend Pendle, has great opportunities there for yield farming, and you just need to kind of understand pretty much what the yield farm is. But it's 197%, which seems unreal for a stablecoin pair. But again, definitely check out the parents, and it's even in the case with the Curve on, you definitely need to check out the parents and what are the tokens made up of, because sometimes what can happen is they'll be synthetic stablecoins which can fluctuate massively in terms of value, so you need to pay attention. Hence why I'm trying to focus on ones with a decent TVL in it, because obviously there's money in it, so people are jumping into it, and instead of getting into some of these ones that are much lower TVLs, I think I have the TVL adjusted, yeah. So you will see ones with maybe only 10, 20,000 in TVL, high APYs, but they're the ones you have to be watching out for. So with that in mind, we have 71%. We jump over here again, and again, we just throw it into it. You can see straight away we're up to $228 a month. And again, this is on $500 capital. And we are thinking long term here. We're not thinking short term gains. So our next step is we're looking for growth. And again, if you're looking for growth, and if you watch my previous videos, I always talk about here is you want to be building out positions that you're happy to hold long term. Now, for most people in crypto, it's obviously the likes of Bitcoin, Ethereum, possibly Solana, maybe things like that, BNB, that have the legs to kind of go through a bear market and come out on the other side of it, which we've seen with all them tokens. Any of the newer tokens that popped up over the last maybe 6 to 12 months, they're the ones that could potentially have a massive drawdown and swings on it. So it's something you have to definitely keep an eye out on. So with that, again, we jump over here to yield fat. Again, I just use VFAT, to pretty much understand what are the options here. So we have wrapped ETH USDC, but the one I was looking at is more than likely gone now, is down here, wrapped ETH and BTC. So this is 81%, so we can say we'll get around 60, maybe 50% once we set a wide range on it. So as I said, if we go in at 50% here, you can see here I'm going to be holding two assets that I'm happy to hold long term, and I will happily go with these assets and let the two compound and grow. Obviously, and if the price starts dropping, it's going to sell one to buy the other. But either way, I'm happy to be holding these two because I think long term we're going to have growth again for the two. So in terms of value, I think that's a good value for it. And again, we jump back, we put in, as I said, around 50%. Again, this will fluctuate a little bit based on overall range you set. You might have to drop it down a little bit lower. And then high risk assets, again, even at 10%, I'm still thinking this is way too much capital potentially put into it. But if I'm looking for high risk, I'm looking for the high risk capital in potentially blue chip tokens. So I'm not going for memes, I'm not going for things like that. I'm going for something that has strong utility built into it, has the opportunity to earn, and I suppose is offering a decent APR. So straight away, you can see down here we have AVAX, again, AVAX chain, Avalanche. I think this is a strong chain overall for what they're building and what's being built. And you can see here we have AVAX, USDC, 166%. Again, we just round the right down to 100%, give or take. The key thing, I suppose, why I like this approach is because you're getting into a chain that an overall ecosystem, it's much better, I think, personally, to hold tokens like that as opposed to holding, say, a meme coin within that chain. I like to obviously build out portfolios like this, and as I said, the key here is you're not holding the actual meme coin, which team could disappear tomorrow, the next day, and you're left with nothing. So if we go down here with AVAX USDC, 100% APR we look at again. So you can see here we're up to projected balance, obviously, at the end of the year. This is allowing us to compound, say, daily. Let's say we just do a weekly. We're almost going to double up our overall portfolio within 12 months. You can see here we're getting roughly $281 per month from this. And the key thing to remember here is we are working towards our overall goal. Our overall goal down here is to get into these positions where we're actually earning the amount we wanted. So you can see here portfolio value basically at the end of the year, and monthly equivalent, what we're getting is around the 200, a little bit higher now, is $281. But if we keep this process up for the entire 6 or 7 years, you can see here within 5-6 years we're already up to 2,500, and obviously year 7 is 4,400. Now the key thing here to remember, look, is it's crypto. It can change in a blink of an eye. Tomorrow crypto markets could be booming again, and it could also be despair for everyone. But what most people struggle with massively is building up portfolios here that can kind of withstand ups and the downs. And the key is, if you can build a portfolio that allows you to kind of leverage overall market, what's happening, and pretty much just grow your portfolio and not thinking short-term gains, thinking a long-term plan, you're going to it's going to be much better for you overall. So as I said, you can see our overall portfolio is going to be growing. It is much better to be building out something like this instead of just jumping into just doing something like this. And what most people end up doing is they clear all filters, they go to something like this, and then they try and throw a massive amount of money into something like this, which in turn is going to have a big impact on overall portfolio health and value. You see these absolutely stupid amount of APRs, and most people get into something crazy and pretty much get absolutely wrecked. Portfolio is destroyed. You have you're not earning anything, your money's going down, and overall what's happening is you basically move away from crypto. So you need to take the mentality of what they do in the stock market, of building portfolios. The difference here is you see most people getting into dividends stock portfolios. They get into it in the maybe early 20s, and they're building this out until they get to 40. They get to 40, then they can actually live off the yields from the dividends. But within crypto, you have the opportunity to do this within 7 years in this case, and very, very quickly you're going to be in a position where you're actually going to be earning a decent amount. Where is it over here? $4,000 per month with a starting balance of 5,000 within 7 years. And again, as I said, things can change, but look, as I said, we have a starting point of it. So look, that's pretty much it. Again, what I'm trying to do here, just I suppose to recap, in the group, I'm building out an entire community. If anyone's interested, the link is below. It's only $22 a month. I'm pretty much trying to bring as much value, and the key here, I suppose, for me personally, is I want to try and help people avoid the mistakes that I fell into. I fell into a lot of mistakes in my early days in crypto, and I wish I could go back in time a bit to kind of fix some of them, but the key here is hopefully I can help others avoid these mistakes and give them the resources and information they can have all in one place. And the case in point here is obviously with the market outlook today, it's from resources from online articles, different things I'm after reading and looking up. I've got a breakdown of everything that has been said. I've got AI to help me with obviously the analysing and putting it all together. And as I said, you can listen to it obviously on the go as an MP3, and there's an image just to kind of give you a brief breakdown of it. Obviously, I went into a bit of information here in text format, but again, key here is to give you information to help you kind of build out exactly what you need. And if you're new to crypto and you're not sure where to start, I have a section in here where it's pretty much goes over everything that helping you start, and I'm just going to be constantly adding to this as the community grows. So key is build a community, build a group of people around us that we can all work together towards our overall goals of earning some passive income through cryptocurrency. So with that, I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to talk to you in the next one.